So, good morning, Keyon.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Taylor?
I'm coming from St. Louis, and where are you?
I'm in New York City. New York.
So,
Yep.
after all of this, you still got love for New York.
I do. I always have love for New York City. I've been in New York longer than I was in St. Louis. I'm definitely a New Yorker now.
Yeah.
I'm in my blood, in my DNA.
Well, your family here in St. Louis, we rallying behind, this circumstance, and I tell you, it was really disheartening that not only that you were engaged with it, but that it affected your baby. So how are you guys doing? How are you and Key Minor?
We are, working through everything, doing all right. But just continually working through what happened, talking about it, making connections to how it has always affected Black people, and it's not the first time, it won't be the last time. It just was caught on tape, um, and it's a representation of what's not great about America that we can change. So we can look at that video and we can make very real strides to change for the better.
Hmm. What challenged you most about the attack?
The thing that challenges me most about the attack is the double standard of how I should have reacted. Um, many people say they're amazed at how I was able to keep my poise and not overreact. That's the one side, but then many of the very same people will say, I would have done that. I would have knocked her head off. I would have destroyed her if she touched my child. But that double standard for a Black man is not the same. I can't just, you know, um, take the liberty of hurting somebody. I have to be almost political and strategic just so I can walk away. My whole premise was to walk away, to get away from what was happening, um, even though we were being profiled in a terrible way. I still just wanted to get away and continue our day. That's all I wanted to do. Typically, as a Black person in America, I feel like most of the time we just want a simple day that has not too much stress, because we deal with so much stress all day, every day. We just wanted to go get brunch after Christmas. But the story of being, Black while trying to eat brunch, happened to us. And it wasn't, yeah, I go back, that double standard of it being simple. Um, that's that's what happens to Black people. The simple things end up very difficult. Just the most basic forms of justice, just the most basic forms of just wanting to go about our day. We are met with many, many, many situations that just take us off track.
You know, that resonates what you shared about you had to be really cognizant of even how you defended you and your son because under attack, but that same consideration or thought wasn't given by the lady who made the attack.
Mhm.
Uh, she, I guess, felt no accountability for um, or no risk. Do you think that she had a risk factor? In jumping on a kid in a hotel?
Hmm. I think she most certainly had no cares or worries, and she actually was counting on the system to take care of her. And that is the issue of entitlement that we have to deal with sometimes. She was sure that the management at the Arlo Hotel would defend her, and which is actually what happened, um, would defend her over my son and I. And I tried very, very hard to get them to simply listen to us, to simply believe us, to simply give us the benefit of the doubt. That entitlement sometimes, unfortunately, to people other than Black people, they get the benefit of the doubt so easily with no proof, with no bearing. Um, and this is the reason why this scenario is extremely um, bad, is because we're dealing with a person who wasn't even a customer at the hotel. I was at the hotel for 3 weeks, or going on 3 weeks, and a person who basically lost their property decided to key in on my son, totally racially profiled him because nobody else got shook down for their phone. The way we were, the way she looked at him, she was sure that he stole her phone, which is ridiculous because we were just coming downstairs, came down the elevator, made two quick rights, and we were in the lobby. And the first thing this person did was say, "You stole my phone. He stole my phone. He stole my phone." And we were accosted right away. It is unbelievable that a hotel or an establishment would not even get two sides of the story, but to believe one side over the other. And to me, that is the epitome of anti-blackness. He had the opportunity. I spoke to him, and I used words. I used very clear words, not, I wasn't going over his head or anything. And I let him know that what you are doing is very, very disrespectful, from the sense that I am a patron, and you gave me no benefit of the doubt at all, and you had no reason to even believe this other person. And this is, to me, how the system is started. That person could have been, she didn't even have to be human. She could have been a ghost. But the idea that the minute you stop believing Black people and not giving Black people the benefit of the doubt, the system starts, because it goes from a person, then it goes to the management, then it goes to the establishment, then it goes to law enforcement, then it goes to judicial, and all of a sudden you find people either dead, or you find people behind bars or fired or anything of the like. So it's very important to me that people start to give Black people the benefit of the doubt. We deserve it. I ain't gonna say all the time, but in this context, it was blatantly wrong how the establishment reacted to me, and blatantly consistent to the system that they would actually believe a person who had no bearing.
You know, I'm thankful that you guys walked away from it, and in the video, you did use very specific words. The disrespect, you're being disrespectful. Though there's certain words that ring bells for people. Um, why do you think? And immediately, he said that he wasn't disrespectful. Do you think that's the systemic racism, where they don't, many, whites don't have regard for Black people? They don't see us as in an equitable manner? Or why do you think that that didn't trigger something for him to check his behavior and be more considerate of the circumstances and the engagement, and that, again, you were a paying customer?
Hmm. You know, he definitely didn't get the point, because he perpetuated the system. He didn't feel that we deserved the benefit of the doubt. And that is the sad part about the whole thing. And that is how the system gets its wheels, by people not believing what it is that we have to say. I pointed it out to him that, listen, your approach is wrong. You are being very disrespectful to me as a customer. You're being even more disrespectful to my son. I won't allow you to touch my son. I won't allow you to come up and invade his space. I won't allow you to shake him down and make him show the phone that I bought for him. He didn't need to steal anything. I bought him a phone. I had two phones on me. Why do we need your phone? I'm paying money to be here. But the way you approached me was like I was nothing. And as Black people, we've always been fighting for the idea that we are worth something. That's the reason why we have Black Lives Matter. That's the reason why we've been fighting for rights from the very beginning. we're always at a fight to just prove that we exist, prove that we are important, prove that we have value, prove that we or we deserve. You know, we always have to prove that. And the system is the thing that continually perpetuates the idea that we don't belong and that we should be asking for permission to simply dwell. And in that scenario, with the manager and with Maya Pensado, it was like they were questioning our legitimacy. This goes back to Barack Obama and the Bertha thing. Is always we're always being questioned about our true identity and if we actually belong, if we could actually have a piece of this American dream. We're always um, it's always delegated to somebody else, and that's what needs to stop. That's what needs to change immediately. So that person was way out of order, and I called it out. And he probably to this day probably still don't understand why he was wrong. You questioning dignity. You questioning everything I'm trying to build up in my son. I want him to be a whole human man, a whole Black man, a whole American. I want him to have all the freedoms and all of the cares that he chooses to take on. But you have people who feel like they have some kind of authority. And I called it out. I called his authority out as a manager. You don't have authority over me. You have authority over the hotel as to what you're working on. But my son's property, you don't have authority over me as a person, over my son as a person. You don't have authority, and you need to rethink that. And I told him that. And you know, to this point, he probably doesn't understand.
So, I love your music. I know that, in the time of Michael Brown, that you've referenced some of that in your art. How will this affect, um, you as an artist?
As an artist, I'm always affected by things that are going on in the world. I mean, I think Nina Simone, she said, as an artist, our job is to reflect the times in our art form. And for me, it's music, it's vibrations and sounds. I take all of the elements, the emotions, the words, the sounds, the everything about it, and I will definitely spin this into something. I'm always looking for the silver lining and something beautiful to come out of tragedy. I've always been able to see that, and being a Black person coming from where I came, I always look at an opportunity. I'm always looking for an opportunity, even when it seems dark. And this is no different. Um, I'll go to scripture with the devil meant for bad, God meant for good, and I'm gonna push this issue in my art form, and hopefully that can help change some hearts and minds about the things that have been happening forever to us as a community, to us as Black people, being discriminated, being um, profiled, being just not treated as a human. So art can help change that, and I will use my music to continually push that issue that we are a great people. We are a strong, resilient people in spite of the tragedies that we go through. Um, so I'm definitely taking lots of notes of what's going on. There's lots of recordings, there's lots of interviews, there's you know, lots of elements of great people who are involved in my story now. Reverend Al Sharpton, um, the Ben Crump, one of the most, on the forefront type civil rights attorneys, is my attorney, and I thank God for that. Um, and so many people who have come out to really support in a major way. I'm just happy that this story has taken legs all over the world. People reach out to me all over the world, from Australia and Japan and Thailand and everywhere, asking, can they sign a petition?
Yeah.
And that they stand with us, because people can tell when injustice is occurring. And my art has taken me all over the world and given me a platform. And fact that it's happened to me, I'm so used to writing music for other people, for other people's tragedy and helping them heal. But it happened to my family, happened to my son and myself. So I'm wondering what this art will be. But at the same time, I know it is a release, and it will trump everything that has happened from the negative sense.
With the huge support and following that the video got, why do you think that's so? Why do you think it went viral? Do you think that many people resonated with um, seeing a kid attack? I mean, what do you think it was that made it go viral?
I think the video went viral because it was a human issue. It just so happens that we were profiled in a terrible way. We were totally disrespected. That's one thing. But at the same time, I feel like anybody who has a heart that saw this, it could resonate as a father simply trying to take care of his son, as a father trying to protect his son against all odds. Somebody standing up for a child is one of the most basic sins that we take care of our cubs. We want our cubs to be the best that they can possibly be and not be in intruded upon in any way. Not our rights, not our dignity, not our physical body. As Black people, our body is always under attack, um, and our rights are always under attack. But I think as a human, people could see um, the people could see the injustice happen. Most of the time, people don't get a chance to see the injustice. People talk about it. It's been happening. This is not the first time I've been profiled at all. This is not it won't be the last. But when people can see injustice, it speaks, a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video is worth billions of words as to everything that happened, in a sequential kind of way from the beginning. I started recording. The questions start to happen. Being blamed, being falsely accused, as a Black person, that has many implications. You have to go back to Emmett Till, you have to go back to Trayvon Martin and so many other people that are killed for simply just being somewhere at the wrong time. But this shouldn't have been the wrong time because I was a patron. This shouldn't have been the wrong time because I'm with my son and he has no reason to steal or to violate anyone, but to be wrongly accused for that, and then for that to be um, actually held up by the establishment is totally wrong. Any human person, this is not doesn't even have to be a black or white thing. Anybody who's human and has a heartbeat and has a reasonable amount of ethics can see that, listen, these people have been wrong, and not the fact we haven't even talked about the idea of standing up for my son and then being attacked for it and then being assaulted for it when the video cut off. Or as the video was cutting off, we were being attacked by somebody who felt that they had the right to attack our bodies and because she felt that she would not even be dealt with. I mean, in the context of, if I didn't have this video, this person went on CNN and said I assaulted her. If I didn't have a video, as a Black person, I'd have ended up in jail because it would have been my word against hers or her word against mine. Because that was actually tried. That card was actually played, but the video evidence, the video footage showed what happened, undeniably. But the question goes back to where does that entitlement come from? And why are Black people not believed? No matter what, there's still people who ask the question, why didn't you just show your phone? The reason I didn't show my phone is because I didn't need to show my phone. Even though my son in the video actually put the phone up in the air and kind of showed, I had to show him that, son, you don't have to prove things sometimes, because you work for it and you've done nothing to deserve this kind of treatment. And that treatment has to do with an assumption that you are guilty until proven innocent. And you need to, you need to show your phone. You need to, prove, what's your name? What show me your papers, boy. It's a big history with Black people.
Yes.
Basically just being. We just want to be most of the time. I don't want we want simple justice. We don't we I don't I'm not asking you for the world. I'm just asking to not be bothered as I take my son to just get some chicken and waffles. It's really, really simple. But the entitlement of other people encroaches on the freedoms of others. So, that is a thing that really, really could make this world a better place, America a better place. If you can just allow people to just simply be.
So we're going to share some of this content with the St. Louis American, and your family base here, but beyond just it's huge. I mean, between heralds and troops, and we're child on our own, but you're a native son for St. Louis too. What do you want for St. Louisans to what can you lend to the experience that we can grow and gain some insight, from?
My scenario that happened at the Arlo Hotel is not unique. It's not unique for Black people. It's not unique for a person of color to be wrongfully accused and accosted in public. Um, it happens all the time. It happens way too often, and it is something that people can learn from. People who are not Black can look at this and realize that there are questions that need to be asked, and there is internal work that needs to be done. You got to ask yourself, why do you not believe the Black person when you don't have a reason not to? Why is it that your first inkling is to side with someone else other than the person who is basically just trying to live free? And what happens so often, the minute you don't believe the Black person, that starts a system that perpetuates racism, that perpetuates a bias that is an implicit bias against these people, people like myself, people like my son, that could lead to tragedy, that can lead to outcomes that are just not beneficial to anybody, not as a human, but definitely not as a Black person. Um, you see from my scenario of what it you see from my scenario the trauma that it causes. A father just trying to raise his son right. A son just trying to be a good son or just a good human, but his whole existence is questioned. People, you have the ability to stop that kind of thing, to stop this racism, to stop this bias, to stop this profiling of people who just are just regular people. We need to start to really look at people as people, see the person, not the color. You know, so often our first inkling, because of stereotypes, because of media coverage, because of different things, you believe certain things to be true, to be certain about certain people. But I challenge people to look deeper, get to know somebody, ask them where they're from, go deeper and make a real connection. You'll learn that you have more things in common, and you will also learn that that person can inspire you to no end. Um, so we need to just look deeper in our own psyche, look deeper in our own self, and ask that question: why do I not believe Black people?
Do you think that, so earlier on, you talked about some of the petitions. One thing that was really striking for me was that, uh, I don't, Maya Point, how's her last name pronounced? Point,
Passato, I'm not sure.
wonderful, yeah. Um, left the hotel after attacking you. I mean, she wasn't, held for questioning. She wasn't incarcerated. You know, we believe that, we show our children, you know, by example. And for someone to see that she attacked, Keyon Minor, and there was no accountability. She just went on about her day after she got, the Uber driver returned her phone. What, can we do in that regard? Where does the accountability come in? Um, how are you pushing, in addition to sharing your story, but, the Arlo hotel management for them to empower her, and as well, with her actually being physical and assaulting a kid, a child, where does the accountability come in for that?
Right now, we have a petition um, that we are pushing right now to hold the Arlo accountable, and their culpability in this scenario is just as much as Maya Pensado. So we have a petition going around through Color of Change, and you can text Keyon, Keyon, to 55156 to sign the petition to basically, you know, create some kind of accountability in the hotel. In any scenario, if I walked into a hotel and I slipped and fell, they would be liable for that. This is the same thing. I'm a patron in this hotel. My son and I were accosted and attacked, physically assaulted, after our innocence was at question by the hotel and by the person. And um, the manager was in, the manager empowered that person to feel like they were okay. Again, that accountability word comes up. Um, he didn't question her. He just went with her word, and that is the thing that got us attacked in this scenario. So they are liable, and they are just as guilty as the person who attacked us in it, because they were complicit in it.
Yeah, so you say they are just as guilty. Actually, I'm of the opinion that they allowed it to elevate from being verbally accosted to being physically attacked, because in the interim, they had the authority to remove her
Mhm.
and opted not to. Is that correct?
That is correct. When we came downstairs, it was already a ruckus in the lobby that they hadn't dealt with, and they allowed that person to put that energy on us. The fact that they did not stop her and did not pull her to the side, that enabled that person to feel entitled to basically question us, to racially profile us, and ultimately to attack us as I tried to walk away. The hotel should have dealt with that. They failed miserably
Yes.
in that.
Well, some good things. What are you working on now, and what positive do you hope to come from this most horrific experience?
Going back to the artistic endeavors, we have a collaboration with T.A.G that's in the works with an amazing artist, Finch, and myself, and hopefully we're going to be able to build some bridges in spite of everything that's going on. We want to build some bridges and get people talking to each other. So we have a special project that we are taking on, um, being supported by T.A.G. So I'm looking forward to that. I have new music that's going to be coming out. A project that I did in November that will be coming out soon, and I'm always working with a lot of different people. So um, a lot of projects that are Grammy nominated. Song called Distance is Grammy nominated with an artist Yeva.
Yeah.
Gregory Porter's album. Um, is also Grammy nominated. So I'm excited for the Grammys again. And, I'm steady working and I'm also, working with my son who basically went to the studio as therapy and he recorded 4 amazing songs
Wow.
with his band. So I'm proud of him. So we, just keeping the vibrations happening.
Yeah. We're proud of you, and I'm sure, this is a great testimony to Shirley and Frankie, that, all that they put into their children. I think that helped you be well suited to address in the immediate this attack, and how you protected your son. Um, so we love you. We're proud of you, and we are sending you good energy, and especially your baby that his healing is whole, and that he doesn't internalize any of this hate and ignorance. So we're here for you.
Hey, I love you guys and I appreciate you 100%.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.